In this example here, we're starting with a 3/4 fraction. So the fourths in the denominator is represented by the grid. The 3 1/4 pieces are represented by the 3 circles. So this represents 3/4, and I want times by 3 or 3 groups of these. So I can just sketch in my circles here. And this represents my 3 groups of 3/4 fractions. Okay, and I'm just going to shape these in. So that represents 3 groups of 3/4. Well, that's going to give me a total of 9. So I have 9 pieces, and they are 1/4 big. So I have 9 1/4 pieces. So if I use my times on top, divide on bottom strategy, I have my times 3 just goes to the top. The divide by 4 stays as 4, and that's going to give me my 9/4. Okay, so that is going to be equivalent to, we can group count, but we can rely on our times on top, divide on bottom. So for D, we are going to divide a 2/5 fraction and divide it by 4. So I've shown this as 2/5 here, and I have 2/5 on the number line, and I've divided into 4 equal parts. So we want to know how big each of those pieces are. And so I can see here that I've divided the increments look like they're tenths, because 1/2 is 5/10, and that's going to give us our tenths. Okay, if you need to, you can draw in the rest of the tenths here. Okay, there's going to be 10 increments in here, so this should be 1/10. Okay, so these are all going to be 1/10 pieces, and so the answer, the 2/5 divided into 4 parts gives me 1/10. Now, we can use our times on top, divide on bottom strategy. Now, it looks a little bit strange because we have times 2, we have divide by 5, that's what we're starting with. The divide by 4 multiplies into the bottom. And when we do that, we don't end up with 1/10 though, we end up with 2/20. But remember that 2/20 is a fraction that can be simplified, and we end up with the 1/10 when we do that. Okay, so we have our 2/5 here. That's going to be divided into 4 equal parts. That's going to give us 1/10. So this is 1/5 here, which is the same as 2/10, and that's going to be our 2/20. So when we use our counters here, 12 divided by 20, well, we can divide by 3. Dividing by 3 means to regroup into groups of 3. So really what I'm doing is I have a group of 3, groups of 3 like this. So there's my 12/20, and one of these represents my solution, because that's when I divide by 3. When I divide by 3, I can see that I'm left with 1, 2, 3, 4 out of 20, okay, or 4/20. Now, does this work with our times on top, divide on bottom strategy? Let's check. Okay, so I'm going to do my times on top. Well, I have my original 12 on top. I have my original 20 on bottom. The divide by 3 should go on the bottom only because it's a divide. Times on top, divide on bottom. And so when I do this, I'm going to end up with 12/60, which will simplify to, if I divide that by 3, I'm going to end up with 4/20, which was what I was looking for. We could also reduce this to lowest terms. This is going to end up being 1 1 over 5. Okay, so we can, as long as we put the divide on the bottom, we're going to get the right answer. So we can see that if I were to shade this, this is definitely one, that's our answer there, 1 out of 5 rows or 5 columns. So that's 1 over 5 is going to be the same as 12 over 60 or 4 over 20. Those will all represent the same answer.